Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. What's going on? What is going on? Thank you very much for being here. Thursday, January 29th, 8 a.m. on the dot. I appreciate you guys hanging out. Thank you for being a part of the show. We got a busy show today. What a fun game yesterday, huh? Some good basketball yesterday, huh? 2-point game at the half, and then, down 34. That was interesting. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. As always, especially this time of the year, one of my favorite times of the year when you're covering the Lakers or you're covering the NBA, because we are 1 week away from the NBA trade deadline, literally 1 week away. So always a lot of chatter, always a lot of rumors, always a lot of conversation about what's going to happen with the Lakers, what kind of move can they make, what are other teams going to do in the Western Conference. So definitely a fun time of the year. So I appreciate everybody coming on the show. I'm sure we'll get a lot of people over this next week or so kind of coming in and out of the channel because of all the rumors and everything else. So thank you very much for being here. Definitely got a lot of topics that we're going to hit on. Let me give everyone a quick rundown of what we got for the show here. Just a beautiful rundown there. Let me give everyone a quick rundown. Once we're done with that, I'll come over to the comments. We'll take a look at all the comments, see what people have to say, and then we'll get the show started. So we'll talk a little bit about last night's game. Honestly, not too much. I really don't have that much to say about the game yesterday. They got their asses kicked. It happens. I don't think yesterday was one of those games where everybody thought, oh my gosh, the world's going to end. The Cavs handled the Lakers, and that was kind of it. A little bit of a Luka injury scare there. We'll play a little bit of sound from what Luka said yesterday after the game. I guess this is an issue that the Cavs have had on this floor before. So, I don't know. What the hell is going on here? You're going to have a player injure himself, it doesn't even matter whether it's the caliber of Luka Doncic or it's a guy 12th on your bench. It really doesn't matter. Feels like the Cavs got something to fix there on their floor. I guess it's elevated more, and then there's a big drop-off. I'm like, what the hell is this? Is this Gladiators? Can we get just a regular floor out there? So we'll hit on that a little bit. A lot of stuff yesterday, as everybody kind of knows. This is going to come with the territory right now. I was so confused last night. I'm looking, and the Cavs are playing a tribute for LeBron. It's like, wait a minute. Is this it? Is this LeBron's game as a Cleveland Cavalier or back in Cleveland? Is LeBron going to retire after the season? And then I read some articles. It's like, no, they've done basically 8 years in a row. They've always played a tribute for LeBron. But everyone is all over the place on LeBron's future. Everybody is. Danny Green, Charles Barkley, Shams, Brian Windhorst. Everyone is all over the place when it comes to LeBron's future. So we'll hit a little bit on that. I got some sound that I want to play post-game on LeBron. We'll do as well. I'm kind of going to go back to something that I said yesterday. Is he better off if he is going to play for his 24th season in the NBA? Is he better off just doing it in Cleveland? Don't you feel like that fan base would be more appreciative of him and he can get a proper farewell tour? Where I think with the Lakers, it's always going to be, well, he's this and he's making this much money. What about Luka? And by the way, I'm kind of on that list here. I'd rather see him play somewhere else if he's going to play 24th season. We'll get into that as well. We got some names. Brad Turner, BT, was on the show a little bit over a week ago or so. Had some really just a great article about here are the names Lakers are targeting. Here are the wings that they're going after. One of those players, which I got to be honest with you, I got a little bit excited to see on that list, kind of a newer name, was playing yesterday for the Cleveland Cavaliers in DeAndre Hunter. So we'll talk about, we'll go kind of through his article, some of the different players that were out there that were listed on that list, what's realistic, what's not realistic, and see if the Lakers can kind of try to grab one of these potential players. Here's the issue the Lakers are going to have. They just don't have enough assets. I mean, I think that's going to be the reason why. And there was another article out there recently that had Dave McMenamin talking about how the Lakers are trying to get multiple first rounders and kind of how they're trying to be creative in doing that. It's going to cost more than I think what the Lakers have, which might answer the Lakers' question for them of what they're able to do by this trade deadline. And maybe they do hold on to that first rounder, but we could kind of put all that together in a topic. Every single day that we get one of these, the day ends with the Lakers and the evening ends and you start looking at the NBA standings and there's all this shuffling going on in the Western Conference. Are there teams that you'd like to see in the first round? and teams you'd like to avoid in the first round. Obviously, the Lakers wouldn't be playing the Thunder. Pretty good chance they wouldn't be playing the San Antonio Spurs if that's your 1-2. To be honest, I didn't even look at the standings yesterday, so I'd have to look back on that. I think Spurs ended up beating the Rockets. I'm pretty sure. I'd have to go back and look. But potential playoff matchups in that first round, who you'd like to see, who you'd like to avoid, I think will tell a lot about, obviously how Laker fans feel about some of these other teams in the Western Conference. Got some NBA news, Giannis' future. I think the more and more clear that becomes, the less clear the less realistic it is for the Lakers to try to grab Giannis, at least by the trade deadline. Maybe more of a shot by the summer. Who knows? Giannis may already be gone by then. So that gives everyone a quick little rundown what we got going on for the show. And appreciate you guys hanging out. Please do me a favor if you guys don't mind. Please subscribe to the channel. We'd greatly appreciate that. Tomorrow, I'm going to do a member show. If you're not a member and you'd like to become a member, it's $3 a month. It's a great way to support the channel. I'm going to do the show tomorrow from Harris. So I'll be doing a member show tomorrow from Harris. Where exactly from Harris I'll do the member show, I'm not sure yet. I'll figure that out. But my plan is 10 a.m. It's just going to kind of come down to how quick am I done with the show, and I could kind of get ready for a member show. So, but I'm targeting around 10 a.m. tomorrow. I'm going to do a member show. All right, let's take a look at a couple of the comments here, and then we'll go from there. Let's see what people got to say. Good morning, sir. Still a little cold in Florida, and it's always LeBron's fault. Always LeBron's fault. You know that. I mean, something happens, the weather that was going on in the Midwest and the East Coast, LeBron's fault. Tariffs, LeBron's fault. My coffee's not as strong this morning. LeBron's fault. Everybody knows that. Anything that happens, it's LeBron's fault. I'm a Laker fan first. LeBron had the decision, then dumped the Cavs for Miami. Then dumped Miami for the Cavs. Then dumped the Cavs for our Lakers. Now the Cavs want him back. Go figure. Yeah, I don't know if he's dumped. I mean, listen, I would say Kevin Durant dumped the Oklahoma City Thunder because he never won an NBA championship there. As LeBron has left every team that he's left, I know he didn't win one when he left Cleveland and went to Miami. Maybe that one's a dump. But after that, I mean, he's leaving, and those franchises are set. He got you 2 in Miami. He got you 1 in Cleveland. He got you 1 in LA. So whatever decision, if the ultimate goal is to win an NBA championship, he accomplished his goals in every city that he's played for. Lakers looked so flat yesterday. Yeah, that second half, I don't even really know what to tell you guys. So people talk about LeBron projected $50 million and forget about Austin Reeves projected $40 million. There's a difference here. One man's 27, the other one's 41. There's a big difference between that. I mean, would you rather have LeBron next year or would you rather have Austin Reeves next year? A 42-year-old Austin Reeves or a 42-year-old LeBron James or an Austin Reeves that's about to be walking into his prime? I don't think that's apples to apples. Okay, I'm going to save some of these comments. Let's get the show started. And then obviously after we continue to go, I'll come back to the comments. So definitely if you got something to say, you want to put it in the comments, feel free to do so, and I'll get back to it. So Lakers get blown out last night. Just the second half was awful. I want to say the Lakers, they were outscored, I know, 44-22 in the third quarter. And I want to say in the entire second half, it was 72-44. So they just got their asses kicked. It was a 2-point game by the time we got to halftime. And then by the time the game was over, at one point, Lakers were down 34. They end up losing that game by 30. I'm not going to make too big of a deal about that loss. I'm really not. It kind of is what it is to me. This happens. It happens in the NBA. Lakers have been playing a lot better basketball. And frankly, I thought they had a legitimate chance last night because of Mobley being out. Garland's been out for them, but Mobley, obviously, that's a key player that's out. One of the best defensive players in the NBA. Really has a great presence for that team. And for the Lakers, they were not able to take advantage of it. So it kind of is what it is. They lost. They got it handed to them. They got Washington tomorrow, who's got the worst record in the NBA. They can get right back on track tomorrow when they play the Wizards. 3 games left on this 8-game road trip. And then, obviously we'll see what happens from there. They looked lethargic. They looked, nobody played well. Marcus Smart wasn't good. Rui wasn't good. LeBron was as bad as I've seen him, in a month or so. He was struggling like crazy. The only real player, to be honest with you, that was pretty consistent, was pretty good, was Luka. And even that wasn't, perfect basketball by any stretch of the imagination. Okay, so let's wipe out the game against the Cavs. I don't think, like I said, I'm not going to sit here and harp on it too much. The world's not going to end. Lakers lost to the Cavs. Let's leave it at that. There were two storylines that came out of last night's game that really had nothing to do with the game. One of them was LeBron, his future. Is this his last game in Cleveland? Will he go to Cleveland after this year if he plays another season? That was the one piece, which we'll get to in a second. The other piece was Luka, and it had nothing to do with Luka, his performance. It's this freaking court in Cleveland that almost could have caused a major injury to Luka Doncic. So let me just play this again. I'm not going to hit on this for too long, but it was a storyline from last night's game. Last night, Spectrum Sportsnet, of course, they're doing their post-game interview. Mike Trudell, Dan White, obviously some of these Laker beat writers. I want to play something here from Luka. Luka is talking about, A, how the Lakers performed, and B, he talks about the court and the potential injury. Take a listen to this, just a quick clip that I want to play.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't. I feel like everybody was a little low energy. Those games are going to come, but, we got to be way better than that.
Luka, you've played here before. Is that drop in the court anything that ever enters your mind? Obviously, Drew Smith here a few years ago.
That's the first thing I thought. That's why I got scared. But it's the only court that's like this. So probably got just a small fault, so I stopped jumping like that.
All right. Drew Smith, by the way, player for the Miami Heat that had a significant injury in 2023 because of this court. And Eric Spoelstra complained about it. JJ Redick was complaining about it yesterday. And they're basically like, what the hell are we doing here? That is the last thing that you want to see. And we'll play this a little bit in the background here. And Luka taking his three and feeling good about himself, kind of jumping around, and then basically falls off a cliff while he's sitting there on the court. So you could see it here as we're playing, this courtesy of ESPN. And then Luka, limps off the court, eventually comes back, and he's kind of grimacing the rest of the time. Guys, again, I'm not going to spend too much time on this. The good thing is Luka's fine. But what the hell is the court? I'm still trying to understand, how do you have a court like that and no changes are made? And like I said, whether it's Drew Smith or it's Luka Doncic, I don't care what caliber of player it is. Luka could have had a major injury yesterday that had nothing to do with the game. It just had to do with Luka in his natural flow of the game, bouncing on one foot, thinking maybe I got this follow through going in, and then eventually ends up on the sidelines and then eventually ends up in the locker room. Anyways, he also mentioned how the Lakers just no energy. It was one of those games, but you could see from that clip there, if you didn't get to see the injury or the injury scare, that's what went down yesterday. Okay, so the other piece that I will say, and again, if you guys got some thoughts on last night's game, you could feel free to give it. But like I said, I think this is one that you turn the page. They're fortunate in these next three games. Two of them are against really bad teams, the Brooklyn Nets and the Washington Wizards. And then you got one game, which I think is going to be a tough game against the Knicks coming up on Sunday at the Madison Square Garden. Lakers got a chance to kind of right some of their wrongs and keep things moving. The other big piece to last night's game is LeBron. And, it's interesting. I threw myself a curveball here. I've been saying leading up to this game against the Cavs that, look, if LeBron wants to play in his 24th year in the NBA, then I think LeBron should play in Cleveland. I think it'd be pretty cool. Now, I'm not like every other NBA and Laker fan out there, because I do have a true appreciation of what LeBron has brought to the table. I do definitely I can separate who he is as a basketball player than, and bring in other stuff. And I don't think some people can. I think they just, everybody's got their opinion on LeBron James, but I'm good after this year. I do think the Lakers, all their focus and attention after this season has to go to Luka Doncic. And if Austin Reeves is on this team, it's got to go to both of those players. And they got to start moving on. And I think 8 years with LeBron James is plenty of time as a Laker. And I think the Lakers did their job, and I think LeBron did his job as well. Whether you agree with that or not, that's not the conversation. But last night, something happened before the game. Before the game, LeBron gets this tribute in Cleveland, and he gets emotional, and a lot of people are talking about it. He gets this tribute and everything else. And I'm saying to myself, I'm like, does Cleveland know something I don't know? Is this it for LeBron? Is LeBron playing his final game in Cleveland? And yeah, I just kind of start throwing some of this stuff in my head, and then come to find out, it's like, no, every time he goes back to Cleveland, the Cavs pay him a tribute. And so this isn't, anything out of the ordinary. Then I'm listening to, all these different people yesterday that were talking. Danny Green was on. He was on ESPN. They're doing their NBA show that they do. What is it? I'm trying to think off the top of my head. NBA Today, I want to say. And Danny Green is basically saying he thinks this is LeBron's final season, period. Not final season as a Los Angeles Laker, but final season, period. He doesn't see him going through another training camp and preparation and all this stuff for 24 years in the NBA. Okay. Then you got inside the NBA with Charles, Kenny, Shaq, and Ernie Johnson, right? So they're doing their show before the game. You got Charles Barkley. I'll read something Charles Barkley said. There's one thing I'm sure of. This is his last year with the Lakers. Doesn't say his last year in the NBA. He just says it's his last year with the Lakers. He's not going to play the Lakers next year. I've always said I'd like to see him finish in Cleveland. I'm not opposed to him getting traded to Cleveland this year. I don't think that's happening. So you got Danny Green that's like, hey, last year in the NBA. You got Charles Barkley saying, nah, I think he keeps going, but last year with the Lakers. I saw something from Shams a little bit later. Shams talking about how, again, I'm just kind of throwing out all these different people that are throwing out these scenarios out there. Shams talking about, his potential. He's not going to get traded at the deadline. Could this be his final year? Nobody really knows. Everybody's all over the place. So instead of trying to get everybody else's thoughts and opinion on it, let's get a little bit of what LeBron said post-game last night. And LeBron's going to give you, again, I think nobody's going to be able to predict what LeBron James is going to do by the time this year is done. But I think these are the things we could say safely. LeBron's going to be a Los Angeles Laker through the rest of this year. And I still don't know if I think LeBron knows what he's going to do as well. But here's LeBron post-game just talking about, obviously playing in Cleveland, not knowing whether it's going to be his final year or his final time. Take a listen.
LeBron, considering the fact you're not under contract for next year, and again, we've used the term unprecedented for being in year 23. On the way here during the game, at any point do you think like that this could be the last game I play here, so I better soak it in?
Yes. I guess as every road arena that I've been in, I think I talked about that just trying to take everything in, not take the moments for granted, because it could be, I obviously haven't made a decision on the future, but it very well could be. So, no matter if it's here or, going to Washington, playing the next game, Garden, Barclay, on this trip. So, obviously it means a little bit more here for me personally because of, grew up, 35 minutes south of here. But yeah.
All right. That's LeBron hitting on, obviously what it means in every place that he goes to. And he's not 100% sure if this is it everywhere he plays. We're getting to a stage now where this question is coming up more and more. Not the question of LeBron and Luka, not the question of how much money he's owed the remainder of the year. The question of, are we watching potentially the last time LeBron plays in Cleveland, or like he mentioned, the last time he plays in DC, or the last time that he plays in New York? All that stuff is kind of, it has to be sort of in the back of your mind, whether you're a Laker fan or an NBA fan, knowing that this could be it for LeBron James. So obviously I don't have an answer to it, but this is how I think confused everybody is. I don't think anybody really knows what that answer is, but each one of these games that goes by, now it's starting to become a little bit more, is LeBron kind of positioning himself that this is the final season. There was another quote in here as well that we'll get into in just a second, about that farewell tour stuff. And listen, every player could be a little bit different. I got a difficult time thinking LeBron wouldn't want some type of a farewell tour, and I wouldn't have a problem if LeBron decided, hey, I'm playing one more year, and he does let everybody know when he gets that farewell tour. He certainly deserves it. I just don't think I want that with the Lakers. So I'm going to start taking a look at people's comments. We could start looking at some of the reaction from last night's game and also this LeBron topic that we have here, so we could hit on both of those. We'll do that in just a second. Before we do, let's give a shout out to one of our partners here. Let's start off with Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. WallaceWins.com/Sliwa. He can help anybody in the state of California. Thank you to everybody who supported our partners and who supported Brad Wallace. I've had people reach out to him. I've had people go to the website. I've had people hit me up on Instagram. Hey, Al, do you think Brad can help me with this situation or that? I'll make an intro. Be happy to make an intro with the owner of the company. One of the best injury attorneys in the entire state of California, does genuinely care for his clients, will fight against insurance companies to make sure that they're not getting what they want because they just want to settle. He's the best in the business. So hopefully you never need him. Serious injury, wrongful death case. But if you do, just go to that website, WallaceWins.com/Sliwa. Get an absolutely free consultation and let them go to work for you. So again, if I'm sure if you do reach out to him, it's more to try to get information. He'll be able to shed some light on some of that information that you're looking for. All right, let's take a look at some of the comments here. Let's see what people are saying here. What do people got to say? What do they got to say? Let's start off here. Yes, I'm starting off with a 10 spot. Listen, did the bright yellow get my attention? Sure it did. Did the super chat with $10 on there, did that get my? Of course it did. Thank you, Nick. I appreciate the super, brother. I appreciate it very much. The team was playing well while Luka went to the locker room, came back with his usually ISO while his teammates ball watching. When JJ going to learn ISO-centric Luka usually puts a team out of rhythm. Yeah, I thought they kind of addressed some of that these last couple of days. Here's the problem yesterday. Everyone was bad. I mean, DeAndre and Rui Hachimura, I'm promoting yesterday or these last couple of days, like we got, this combination of Ray Allen and I don't know. It just he was a laser. Rui was so good these last couple of days, averaging 20 a game. He was 0 for 7 yesterday, had the same amount of points, Nick, as you and I combined. We all had the same stat line as Rui Hachimura. All of us had zeros in last night's game. Marcus Smart gave you 2 points. Nobody really off the bench other than Jackson Hayes gave you valuable minutes. LeBron was 3 of 10 from the field. Lakers just got their asses kicked yesterday, and I don't think there's any other way to look at this. I just think that at the end of the day, sometimes you just take those L's, and I don't think it had anything to do with, well, that was Luka's fault yesterday. I don't. And I don't disagree on the ISO basketball. We've had this conversation here. I love that JJ Redick called out LeBron and Luka and kind of indirectly told us until Rui was like, yeah, shout out to the coaches for calling out LeBron and Luka. And, that was obviously a big part of my last couple of shows because I thought that was a great moment for this Lakers season. It's like, hey, I like that you could have a healthy enough relationship where you can call out the stars. All right, let's get a couple more in here. Luka didn't need to hop 8 times after a shot. Bro, get back on defense. You're not wrong on the get back on defense, but can we also not have a 3-story drop if you do hop on 1 foot for 8 times? What about that? Is that possible as well? How about we just have a court that's level? Is that fine? I mean, what else are they going to put underneath that court? Again, what is this, Gladiator? I mean, just have a regular court that's flat. That's all anybody's asking for here. Luka isn't 100%. He said in the interview his ankle is hurting even more. Yeah, I mean, and you could tell he was grimacing the entire time. Yes, they are, because I think this is more of a hockey thing, so I don't think it's that much different than crypto, and I'm the last guy to try to figure this out. They are, but I think that drop-off is significant in Cleveland more than other places. LeBron should get a retirement tour. All right, let's talk about this here real quick. I think this is a good conversation. This will actually kind of get us into our next topic. So Oh, this is good. Both of these are perfect. Never seen a fan base more ungrateful for making y'all relevant again. This is perfect. I love both of these. Okay. So let me say this here. There's a couple things that I want to see in the Lakers' future. Okay. I'll tell you guys what I'd like to see in the Lakers' future. For the remainder of this season, I think I can isolate these two here, and then this will get me to the retirement stuff, and then we're going to come back to Laker fans being ungrateful. And I don't completely disagree with that, but let me make my point on this. So yesterday I was on Fred Rogan and Rodney Peete. And I was on with their show. They do a show at noon on AM 570. You guys, obviously know that I got a little bit of a partnership going on with that radio station with iHeart. So we were on, and we were talking about just the future and potential farewell tour. And I think Rogan had a really good point. He's like, yeah, listen, that's fine. He could have a farewell tour, but he can't be making this much money. If he's going to do this again next year, it's got to be at a significantly less dollar amount in order for him to do so. And I think he's completely right. I don't mind. I got no issue if LeBron James decided he wants to play a 24th year in the NBA, and he says to everybody before the season starts that this is going to be his final season. And now this is part of a farewell tour, and everywhere LeBron plays, there's going to be a tribute and everything else. I got no problem with that. And LeBron 1000% deserves a farewell tour if that's what he wants. And if that's kind of the angle that he takes and plays another year. No problem with that at all. Now let me put the Laker portion into this. I'd like to see LeBron obviously finish off this season for the Lakers, his 8th year with the Lakers. I'd like to see if the Lakers can make a move by the trade deadline. Awesome. Go make a move by the trade deadline. Just make sure that whatever move that you make is really, there's more focus towards the future than the present. Somebody that comes in is going to be with Luka and Austin Reeves for a couple of years. This is the guy that you need, a 3-and-D player or whatever the case is that you feel like is a good fit with those guys, and then you move on. By the way, if they can't go and make that trade, and they end up holding on to their first rounder, I'm also okay with that as well. It's like, all right, maybe there wasn't a move to be had. I'd be a little bit disappointed, but I would understand that now they have 3 first rounders in the offseason. Let's go back to the retirement tour, the farewell tour. I'm all in for LeBron to get his 24th season and get a farewell tour. I just don't want it to be with the Lakers. That's it. I mean, that's if I could be very blunt here, I'll be very blunt. I just don't want LeBron past this season on the Los Angeles Lakers. And really, it's nothing LeBron did wrong. It's just I'd like to see the Lakers close one chapter and begin a new chapter and fully embrace that this is Luka's team now. In order to be competitive, as Luka's going to be walking into his prime, they really need to use every dollar and asset that they have to build around Luka properly. And I got a difficult time thinking they could do that with LeBron, let alone do that with LeBron in a farewell tour in Los Angeles next season. I don't think those things could be connected. Now, if you told me LeBron, like Charles Barkley said, that I'm going to read this quote again that Barkley had on let me find this here real quick. The quote that he had about Shaq. He said, "There's one thing I'm sure of, is this is his last year with the Lakers. He's not going to play with the Lakers next year. I've always said I'd like to see him finish in Cleveland. I'm not opposed to him getting traded to Cleveland this year." Okay, that can happen. But finishing his career in Cleveland. That to me would be awesome. I think that's the best of both worlds. I think you get LeBron with a proper farewell tour. I think LeBron goes back to Cleveland where everybody's going to remember. He's going to be an icon in Cleveland. Not that he's not going to be in Miami. Not to say that 8 years with the Lakers, he didn't really help turn this franchise around. But we know how many icons there are in LA that are associated with the Lakers. With the Cavs, it's like LeBron James. That's the guy. I'm all down for a retirement tour, a farewell tour, and his 24th season. I just don't want to see it in Los Angeles. I'd rather see it with him in Cleveland. And by the way, I also think he can help them. They can be competitive if he takes the least amount of money possible, whether he's willing to do that or not. Now you can also help a team in Cleveland. You're in the Eastern Conference. They're pretty talented. We know how many good players they have. They just, maybe they're not the favorite in the Eastern Conference. Maybe they become a team that all of a sudden can gel a little bit better because they got LeBron James there. So that's my thought on the farewell tour. Now, to go back to this, which, Marley, I appreciate you throwing in this as well. Never seen a fan base more ungrateful for making y'all relevant again. There's some truth to this. I don't completely disagree with your comment here. I think there is some truth to this. I think Laker fans, and I've said this before, it's a very, very, very spoiled fan base. Why? Because the franchise, since Dr. Jerry Buss took over, which was all the way back in 1979, there was like a 50% chance that you were going to make the NBA Finals for about a 35-year run or a 30-year run. Literally. It was like, well, flip a coin. This year, the Lakers are going to be in the NBA Finals or they're not going to be in the NBA Finals. They won, again, I think over about a 30, 35-year span, almost 1/3 of the NBA championships. At the absolute worst, it was 1/4 of the NBA championships. The reason why it's one of the most spoiled, ungrateful fan bases is because they were shitting championships for a span of 35 years. And naturally, if you're winning that often, you kind of lose a little bit of the, it might not mean as much than it did when you won your first championship. The Lakers can't relate to the Denver Nuggets, who got that one championship for the first time in franchise history. They can't relate to the Milwaukee Bucks that got that one championship in a 50-year span and hadn't got one since Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. They can't relate to the New York Knicks that haven't won an NBA championship since the 70s with Phil Jackson. They can't relate with these fan bases. So naturally, they're going to take things for granted. I don't think it's the Lakers. I don't think it's a Laker fan base's fault. I think somebody, if I'm using an example here, and I don't know if this is the best analogy, someone who's had money in their bank account their entire life is not going to value money the same way that somebody that has a lot less money in their bank account. So I don't think you're wrong in this. I think it's a fair argument. I think it's a good point. The LeBron piece of it, that part I didn't like with a lot of Laker fans. Because I think there were a lot of Laker fans out there when the LeBron conversation came up that there were too many of them that I thought were unappreciative of LeBron. It was like, oh, yeah, but you know what? I'm a Kobe guy. What does Kobe have to do with LeBron? The franchise hadn't made the playoffs 5 years in a row. It was the worst run in franchise history. I think the Lakers were irrelevant until LeBron came and joined the Lakers. A lot of people were making these arguments. I thought Laker fans were making arguments in their own head. I'm like, what are you arguing with yourself? LeBron has nothing to do with Kobe. LeBron has nothing to do with Magic or Shaq or Jerry West or Wilt or any of these other players. He's got nothing to do with these guys. LeBron is his own chapter in the NBA. He'll go down as one of the greatest to ever do it. And he's had some ups and downs with the Lakers. That part I don't completely disagree with, because I think there was a portion of Laker fans still today that were grateful to just say, man, that's badass. LeBron is a Los Angeles Laker. Highs and lows. Okay, maybe some things you don't like that LeBron brings to the table, maybe passive aggressive, whatever the case is. And then I think there was another group of Laker fans that was like, I'm never going to root for LeBron. I'm waiting for LeBron to leave the Lakers before I could become a Laker fan again. That never made any sense to me. Two good comments. I like both of these comments. See, I could be objective. I'd like to think every once in a while I could be objective. Let's see some more here. The Kobe fan versus LeBron thing was stupid. They never even faced each other. They literally never even faced each other in the NBA Finals, where you could sit back and you could say, let me give you an example. If I don't even think this is a good example because they're completely different caliber of players. If you told me Paul Pierce joined the Lakers, then maybe I could kind of stretch this out and say, yeah, well, Paul Pierce and the Lakers faced them in the finals, and Lakers got one and they got one, and I don't know. I'm just kind of trying to think off the top of my head. You could easily hate Paul Pierce, and Paul Pierce represented the Boston Celtics for his entire career. Maybe I can make a case there, but the LeBron piece I never really understood. I really didn't. And I hope my analogy that I gave, because that's the best analogy I can give. It's very, very difficult to appreciate something that you get every single year. I got a good baseball analogy today that I can give you. Do you think a Dodger fan, do you think they have the same perspective as other Major League Baseball fans right now? How is a Dodger fan going to look at the way every other team has to deal with baseball and what it takes to compete and how difficult it is to win a World Series, how difficult it is to honestly just make the playoffs? A Dodger fan cannot relate to another baseball fan. They just can't. I mean, they win the NL West every single year. That's a given. They're in the playoffs every single year. The question is just going to be, are they winning a World Series or are they not? They just can't relate. While there's other fan bases out there, including myself, where it's like, just make the playoffs, pray to God, go to church on Sundays, and hope that you can steal one year. That's how different. So I think there is a little bit, like I said, from a Laker perspective, where the fan base, they are wildly spoiled, but they're spoiled for a reason, is because every single year they just sit back and say, they're in the Western Conference Finals again. They won the NBA Finals again. They won an NBA championship again. All right, let's keep going here. Let me see this. John Wayne. I'm not even going to read it yet, and I already know it's something that's going to hate on LeBron 1,000% because it's in John's blood. It's in his bloodstream. LeBron could save the world, and he will say he should have done it an hour earlier. Let's get John in here. So explain the difference between the time span between the 91 finals and Kobe and Shaq and the years between Kobe and LeBron. What do we owe him? Nobody owes him anything. You should just respect that the man came to the Lakers, helped the Lakers win an NBA championship, and made them relevant again. That's all we're saying. Here's the difference here. If you want to say the span between the 91 finals and Kobe and Shaq, and I think the point that you're trying to make is there was a 9-year span till the Lakers got back to the NBA finals. Remember, they got Shaq and Kobe. All that happened in 96. Derek Fisher, they drafted as well. I'm trying to think here if I'm trying to relate here to what I think you're talking about. The Lakers were still making the playoffs in a handful of those years. I think the longest they had gone without making the playoffs was 2 years under Dr. Jerry Buss until he passed. And then all of a sudden you had 5 years in a row, 6 years in a row, actually, because they didn't make the playoffs in LeBron's first year. He got injured. So, yeah. So I think nobody owes any of these players anything, but a little bit more respect towards LeBron, I think, is what a fan base should give to LeBron. You don't have to like LeBron, but you should respect him. And I think a lot of times that isn't the case with LeBron. All right, this show's going a lot different than I thought it was going to go. By the way, I appreciate the super. This is not the angle that I thought I was taking. But I'm going to go back to what I said earlier. I'm going to read this comment here, and then we're going to keep going to the show because Lakers trade deadline is in 1 week. The NBA trade deadline is in 1 week. I'm going to go back to what I said earlier. I might be a little bit more unique of a Laker fan. I respect LeBron's chapter with the Lakers. I respect the ups. I respect the downs. I know how hard it is to win in today's NBA. The NBA has created a system where they want everyone to have a shot. You got the aprons now. You can't just go out there and outspend teams and everything else. The NBA is different. And also the Lakers have not been run perfect for the last 8 years. Since Dr. Jerry Buss passed away, since 2013, the Lakers are a very up and down market, more up and down team, more of a down than they are up. But with that being said, I enjoyed the time LeBron has been a Laker. I respected LeBron as a Laker. I think he's got a big deal to do with why the Lakers were relevant again. And when this season ends, if LeBron's going to play his 24th season in the NBA, I'd like to see it somewhere else. I'd like that chapter to close. And it has nothing to do with LeBron. It has to do with, part of it has to do with LeBron. He's 41. The other part has to do with, you have Luka. You got Luka. You got one of the top 5 players in the league. Start building your team around him. Bron gave Laker fans a ring to a team falling for a decade, and fans still hate him. Definition of ungrateful. Maybe you're right. Maybe that's what it comes down to. Maybe that's what it comes down to. Okay, let's keep going here. We got a few other topics that I want to get into and see different ways the Lakers could potentially improve the rest of their roster as well. Harrah Resort SoCal. It's located in North San Diego, Palomar Mountains. I'm driving out there today. It's going to be a beautiful drive. You know, for those who don't know that area of Palomar Mountains and North San Diego, beautiful road, lots of land, a lot of citrus trees. It genuinely is a very, very nice drive. You're going out to an area that is just kind of open land and open space. It's perfect for a resort. It's perfect for a place to get away. It's perfect for spending a couple of days out there. They got over 1,000 luxurious rooms. Tonight, I'll be eating at Hell's Kitchen, which is Gordon Ramsay's restaurant. I think one of the best restaurants in Southern California. I've eaten there once. This will be my second time eating there. I'm looking forward to that. I'll be there tonight. I'll be there tomorrow night. I'll do my post-game show from there tomorrow as well. I'm going to go to that Andrew Santino comedy show that's coming up tomorrow. So I'm really looking forward to it. The reason why I'm telling you guys all this, it's a great place for a staycation. It's a great place for a getaway. Go to harrissocal.com. Phenomenal, phenomenal place to go hang out and just smarter to do so. Why are you going to go pay for round trip airfare to go somewhere else when you could just drive out there, take the family? You're within an hour or 2 hours wherever you are in SoCal. harrissocal.com. That's harrissocal.com. All right. I'm going to keep going. It doesn't mean I can't come back to that topic that we had where I had to yell at everybody. Sometimes I have to yell at everybody. I'll come back to that topic. Let me first do this. Lakers are targeting a bunch of wings right now. And there's a couple of questions that will come with this kind of question about the Lakers and what they're able to do before the trade deadline. So let me first kind of point out an article here. And I read this yesterday, and it's a really good article from Brad Turner, who you guys know has been on the show a number of different times. So I'm going to read some specific players. It's actually a couple people from the LA Times that put together this article. I'm going to read a couple of players that were part of this article, and it gives me a little bit of hope. And it also tells me, do the Lakers really have what it takes to go make a move? Here is one of the questions out there. And again, we're talking about some of the different players that the Lakers are targeting. Here's a question that was thrown out to Brad Turner. What is the most likely scenario for the Lakers? He said, according to some of those NBA folks, the names that have been attached to the Lakers as potential trade targets are Dallas's Najee Marshall, a former Luka Doncic teammate, Cleveland's DeAndre Hunter, who the Lakers played yesterday, Minnesota's Dante DiVincenzo, and Sacramento's Keon Ellis. New Orleans' Trey Murphy III, and Herb Jones are two players the Lakers have shown interest in, as have many other teams, but NBA people saying the asking price is so high that teams are waiting to see if that comes down by the deadline next week. All right, let's go through some of those names that I just mentioned. Najee Marshall certainly would be an upgrade. It would be a nice player for the Lakers to have. DeAndre Hunter, I think, would be a phenomenal piece for the Lakers that would make a ton of sense and would be a great addition to this Lakers team. So again, let me just kind of keep going through some of these names. Dante DiVincenzo, I don't see the Minnesota Timberwolves making a trade with the Lakers. I just don't, even though I think DiVincenzo would be a nice piece for the Lakers. Kind of a tough player, a gritty player, rolls up his sleeves every single night. I don't know what he's shooting from three this year, but again, a nice player. And then Sacramento's Keon Ellis, we've heard that name before. The question's going to be, do the Lakers just have enough assets to go get one of these players? What are teams going to be asking for? I think right now what makes the NBA so interesting is, yes, you got the Oklahoma City Thunder. Nobody's saying that the Oklahoma City Thunder are not going to be the favorite and everything else. But I think the other piece of this that's just as important is a lot of teams think they can compete right now. If you're in the Eastern Conference right now and you're the Pistons or you're the Cavs or you're the Knicks or you're the Toronto Raptors or you're, go down the list of all these other teams that are competing in the East right now, they're not going to sit back. The Boston Celtics sound like they're going to be buyers, and they may get Jason Tatum back. We'll see what happens in regards to that. You got a lot of teams just in the Eastern Conference that are probably looking at some of these names and saying, hey, we should go make a run at this player or that player. Okay, now let's go look at the West. Take out the Thunder. Do you think Houston just stands pat? I don't. You think Minnesota does nothing? I don't. Do you think San Antonio is entertaining offers? May very well be entertaining offers. Does Denver think, hey, is there a move that we can? The point that I'm making is there's 7, 8, 9, 10 teams that think they could come out of the East or the Western Conference. So the price for a lot of these players is just going to depend. If I'm going to give a real estate analogy, you might not think Keon Ellis is worth a first rounder, but if there's one home being sold in the neighborhood and there's 5 offers, then you're going to need to give up a first rounder in order to go get him. The question for the Lakers is going to be, what assets are they going to give up? What assets make sense for the present and the future? And are there actually players that they can realistically go get with the assets that they have? Of all these names that are out here, to me, DeAndre Hunter, he'd be a phenomenal player for the Lakers and would definitely be a player I think that the Lakers would value, would need. That style of player, that size, that type of 3-and-D player that can probably play 3 and 4, can play multiple positions. But I'm a fan of DeAndre Hunter's game. Unfortunately, and it might be a good thing for the Lakers, when he came to the Cavs last year, I thought it was a good pickup. He has not been the player for the Cavs that they need him to be. But those are some of the names that are being thrown around. And then still, Troy Murphy III and Herb Jones are 2 players that the Lakers have continued to show interest in. The problem is to go get them. It sounds like the Lakers don't have enough in order to do that. I saw a couple other things yesterday as well. And, here are a couple other things to point out. Again, this goes back to the asset thing. I'm going to read this off here. And this is coming from, let me find the exact piece here. All right, Kings talking trades for Domantas Sabonis. Obviously there's a lot of rumors everywhere right now. So you can imagine all the different things. Lakers dangling expiring contracts while seeking wing help. This actually, to be honest with you, doesn't give me much confidence, but I'm going to read this here either way. There was an article out there, and I'm going to just point out here real quick what it says. It says the Los Angeles, this came from Hoops Hype, by the way. The Lakers have gauged the trade market looking for 3-and-D wings with targets ranging from Andrew Wiggins, Herb Jones, Jonathan Kuminga, Sadiq Bey. So there's some more names. With that in mind, the Lakers have dangled expiring contracts. Rui Hachimura, Gabe Vincent, Maxi Kleber on the trade market, league sources told Hoops Hype. What really is that going to get you? Does that sound like that's going to get you one of those players that you're just dangling around expiring contracts? I think things have to really go the Lakers' way, but I'm assuming here teams are going to obviously want draft compensation. That's what I'd be wanting if I'm one of those other teams out there. And the question that's going to come down to, will the Lakers have that opportunity? Will they have what other teams want in order to go make one of those moves? So that gives you a little bit of I know that's a lot of information there, but I saw some new names that we haven't really seen with that article from Brad Turner. Got a little bit excited about it because I think there's just naturally having some different names out there is obviously a positive thing. Now, if the Lakers were able to get their hands on one of these players, does it mean they're the favorite in the West? It does not. But what I think it does mean, I do think it means that the Lakers can at least prepare themselves for a better run this year, and then hopefully it's a player that they're going to have for multiple years to come. Dante DiVincenzo, by the way, 38% from the three-point line is what Dante is shooting. All right, let's see what we have here on the comments. That cannot be right. Was that right? That many comments? That can't be that many comments. Hunter is fool's gold. I might take my chances with that fool's gold. I might take my my chance for that fool's gold. Let me see what else we have here. DeAndre Hunter equals Cam Reddish. Don't tell me that. Don't tell me that. Can't have that. Can't have DeAndre Hunter equal Cam Reddish. Why are you guys fighting always in the chat? Can everybody just relax here? Go smoke a J or something. Relax. My God. Do indica. Don't do sativa. Do indica. Just kick back and relax. For the love of God. All right, let me get to a few of these comments here. I'm going to try to do my best to get through some of the fights that are going on. We have nothing any team wants, and we sneakily traded for Luka. Other teams look at our GM as a snake. Yeah, I still don't understand how they got Luka. I think I've been telling everybody that I am now a believer in conspiracy theories. A complete believer in conspiracy theories. A true Laker fan won't hate on LeBron. He won us a chip, and that's what we expect from our stars. That's what we expect from Luka. Is that difficult to understand? Is by the way, I'm not surprised that the handle here is the intellect, because this is a very this is a solid comment right here that has some thought into it. A true Lakers fan won't hate on LeBron. He won us a chip. That's it. And by the way, Luka Doncic as a Los Angeles Laker, there is full expectation that Luka wins the Los Angeles Lakers an NBA championship, or was a bad chapter in Lakers history that one of the top 5 players couldn't win a chip. Now, of course, he's going to need help. It's going to be up to the front office and the roster and the coaching staff and everything else. You can't do it with one player, but that's a fair point right there. Reeves gets you an athletic wing. That's it. Unwilling to trade Reeves. Click. Hang up the phone. I don't think the Lakers should be unwilling to trade Austin Reeves. I just think that what's going to eventually happen is he's going to sign a long-term deal with the Lakers, and they're going to give it a year to figure out to see if it works. And they're going to try to build around both of those players. And if I'm being honest with you, if it's not working, then there's no reason why the Lakers then wouldn't churn and say, okay, well, what can we get in return for Austin Reeves? And I don't think Austin Reeves' value is going anywhere. I think he's 27 years old. He's only getting better. Very nice player in the league. Would have been an all-star. He's got better every single year. I think he's got the ability to be just as much as a facilitator as he does to be a scorer. So I don't think his value is going anywhere. I think his value is only going to increase. And frankly, I think if they go into next year and LeBron's not on the team, then it's a little bit more of a natural game for Austin Reeves as well. All right, let's get a couple more in here, and then I'm going to do some NBA stories here. And then the Mavs remarkably get Cooper very convenient. Yeah, I'm a conspiracy theory guy, okay? You guys want to come with me on UFO stuff? I'm in. The JFK and angles and where the shots came from, I'm all in. We never landed on the moon. Go no further than that. I'm in. I want a conspiracy theory meetup. And I want on that list how Luka became a Laker. I'm all in on the conspiracy theories. Completely in on that. What did the Knicks, what was the frozen envelope that the Knicks got Patrick Ewing? Oh, please, you don't have to tell me anymore. I'm all in. I'm all in on all that stuff. Okay, I got a couple NBA stories that I want to get into, and then we'll close out the show by, of course, reading some of the comments here. And hopefully everybody already smoked their J, and they're sitting back, and they're like, man, why were we yelling at each other? Man, I just want peace in the world. That's what I'm hoping happened to the chat, since I told everyone, spark one up real quick, and everybody could just relax a little bit. I don't know if I saw it right. Did I see this right? I think there was a point here. I had 500 plus comments that I hadn't read. I'm like, that's impossible. I didn't look. By the way, it's 420 people that are in here as well. So that's the number that I'm showing. That just goes with the algorithm. YouTube knew that I was talking about sparking something, and then 420 came up. It just, everything lines up. It all lines up. I think that's adding Twitter and YouTube, FYI. People are going to say, Al, you're not at 420. Okay, so a couple stories around the NBA, and then we'll go from there. The one thing that I will say, and I'm going to look at this while we're all hanging out. NBA standings here real quick. If the playoffs started today, Lakers and the Rockets in the first round, 4-5 matchup. If the playoffs started today, 4-5 matchup. Who do you want to avoid in the first round? Who would you like to play in the first round? I'll tell you who I want to avoid. Of course, the Thunder. I don't want to play the San Antonio Spurs in the first round. And honestly, I don't want to play Denver in the first round. Rockets would not be an easy matchup. They play defense, the whole thing. I'd rather play the Rockets than a healthy Denver team. I'd rather play the Rockets than a healthy Spurs team. Ideally, I'd rather play Minnesota than the Houston Rockets. I think so. And then Phoenix, of course, I would take that chance as well. But right now, if the playoffs started, it's Lakers, Rockets in the first round. I'll take that 4-5 matchup. I don't want Denver. I don't want San Antonio. And it's impossible to play Oklahoma City because of, where they are in the standings. I don't think I want the Spurs and the Nuggets. I think I'd rather play the Rockets than those two teams. I don't know. San Antonio's they got youth, they got talent, they got some veterans that are in there. They got Wemby, they got depth, I think I want to avoid those teams. So I put here potential playoff matchups as one of my topics. That's what I was referring to, because every single day the standings is shifting. And as they shift, it's like, well, who would the Lakers play today? I know we got a ways to go, but I take my chances over the Rockets than I would against. I don't want to play Denver in the first round. I don't, if they're healthy. And I don't think I want to play San Antonio in the first round either. Now everybody's within a couple of games, so that's going to keep shifting as the season progresses. Okay, there was an article here in regards to Giannis Antetokounmpo. Bobby Marks did this, obviously a friend of the show. What should the Bucks do with Giannis? He listed 11 teams with the most to offer and says it's unlikely the Lakers have a package that is interesting for the Bucks, which is no surprise to me. If the Lakers are eventually going to make a run at Giannis Antetokounmpo, the only chance they would have is it'd have to be in the offseason. It'd have to be, you have 3 first-rounders now available. Austin Reeves part of that package. And you need Giannis Antetokounmpo to say, I want to be a Los Angeles Laker. So you're going to need a lot of things to go your way. So let's put it that way. Steven Adams has season-ending ankle surgery. That's unfortunate here. I know Shams had put this out yesterday. Steven Adams, not that he's this, huge piece for the Houston Rockets, but that's a nice piece to have. Kind of went with some of the size that they had. Another significant injury for the Rockets, who are now down their starting point guard in Fred VanVleet and starter reserve center Steven Adams. And still Houston has been among the top seeds, finding itself 28-16 and is now just 2 games out of second place in the Western Conference. I think they ended up losing yesterday. I think we talked about that already. What did they lose? How much did they lose against the San Antonio Spurs? Let me see this game here real quick. They lost 111-99. Yeah, the Spurs are going to be a problem. They're just going to be a problem. I think a lot of teams, when we start looking at that, what teams will trade for Giannis and what teams won't, I think there's a lot of teams that are going to wait. I think the San Antonio Spurs are like, I don't know. Do the Spurs need to trade for Giannis, or can they just kind of keep going in the position that they're in? Maybe wait till the summer and see if he's available. Does OKC need to trade for Giannis? I think if you say the Rockets, I'd be like, yeah, I think they need to. There's some teams out there that I think, yes, they should put all their eggs in the basket and try to go get Giannis. I don't think the Spurs are a team that has to do it, but Steven Adams out for the rest of the year. Okay, some games coming up tonight. I'll point out real quick, and then I'll look at some of the comments and we'll call it a day. So tonight, just see if there's any good games out there or games that have some kind of significance. Rockets and the Hawks, you can say, just because of where the Rockets are in the standings. Something to keep in mind there. Denver's playing tonight. Ooh, good game in Phoenix. Detroit Pistons versus the Phoenix Suns. And then a good game in Minnesota, the Oklahoma City Thunder versus the Minnesota Timberwolves. So we got some games in the NBA that will be pretty good games, pretty good matchups. Okay, we'll close out the show reading the last couple of comments here, and then we're going to call it a day as well, and I'm going to start working my way over to Harris. All right, let's see what you have here. NBA draft pick order been rigged for years. I'm in. You got a conspiracy theory? I am in. I'm in. For me, it all started when I was doing a live post-game show and I saw Sham's tweet that the Lakers got Luka. I was like, no, that's it. That's it. The whole world is corrupt. Every Middle Eastern person that used to tell me in the past, it's Vegas, bro. Everyone that used to say that, I believe them now. In the past, I'd be like, why everything that happens in sports, you just say it's Vegas? Now I believe him. Now I understand. They always say that. Everything that would happen, it's like, oh, it's Vegas. Vegas got it rigged. Don't think we can make any moves at the deadline. You might be right about that. Low key, I want a weekly stream of Alan talking about conspiracy theories. That would go well with maybe the indica thing I was talking about. I think that would be probably a good combination there. Okay. All right. Everybody relax here. One thing about indica, all the comments now are that. We asked for the Wolves last year, and how did that play out? Not good. I think the Houston Rockets will be a good matchup for the Lakers. You don't want to play Denver. I'm not trying to play Denver. I am not trying to play Nikola Jokic. Jamal Murray might be most comfortable in his life when he's playing the Lakers in the playoffs. Aaron Gordon's a good piece. They got some champions, obviously, on that roster. I'm not trying to play him. Let's get a couple more in here. Magic 5, Kobe 5, Bron 1 in 8. At this rate, the longevity king needed to sign with the Lakers in the womb to equal them. Laker icons equal multiple rings. Who's saying why are you comparing LeBron to Kobe or Magic? That's a dumb comparison. Don't compare LeBron James to those two Laker greats. That's your 1-2 of Laker greats. This is the problem I have with some of these people. Why are you comparing LeBron to the Laker greats? LeBron is never going to be LeBron is never going to be more of a Laker great than Kobe or Magic or Shaq or Kareem. Don't compare them. Just don't. He won't even be in the conversation with Jerry West, who got one championship, but Jerry West in the front office was the best executive that we've ever seen. Don't compare LeBron to other Laker greats. Don't compare those resumes. Just appreciate the one you got. That's fine. Nobody's comparing him to some of these other players. It's a dumb comparison to try to compare him to other Laker greats. That's the problem we have with some of these Laker arguments with LeBron, is people are trying to compare LeBron to other Laker great. There's no point in doing that. You thought when LeBron was going to come to the Lakers in what year was he? 15 or 16 in the NBA. His goal was to be better than a Kobe Bryant version of the Lakers. Kobe's the greatest Laker of all time. He played 20 years with the Lakers. Won 5 championships and did it with 2 completely different teams. Magic's my favorite Laker of all time, and Magic probably would have been the greatest Laker of all time if he played 15, 16, 17 years. He didn't. He played 12. Kobe played 20. Obviously, Kareem, you got some of these other players. Again, thank you for the super. I appreciate you, John. I mean, it's like you keep buying me a drink at the bar, and you think that next drink is going to change my opinion. It ain't going to change anything. It's not going to change my opinion. Rockets win in 6. You might not be wrong about that. I was watching your post-game show when we got Luka. It's still that whole moment didn't make sense. You guys see how hesitant I was to even report on any of this stuff? When that was going on, I'm like, guys, I'm not reporting on Sham. Shams got hacked. He didn't get hacked. All right, are we done? We done for the day? Everybody done yelling at each other today? I think we're done for the day. Should we get one more in here? One more from John? I think we're done. John says here, wow, but you're on tape saying he's getting a statue. I wouldn't give him a statue, but I think the Lakers may very well give him a statue. And I understand why they would do that. They would do that because LeBron's going to go down as one of the greatest players to ever play in the history of the NBA, and Lakers want icons outside of Crypto.com, and LeBron is an icon. Do I think he should get a statue? No, I don't. Do I think they'll give him a statue? Probably. We'll see. We'll see what happens. That's all I got. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Fun show. By the way, listen. Whether we agree or whether we disagree, I hope nobody takes anything personal when I'm on here going back and forth with everybody. We're supposed to have different opinions. We're supposed to, this is the whole point of doing a YouTube show. It's fun. I enjoy this. I genuinely do. So I hope nobody, takes any of this stuff too seriously. And if you do, come at me, All right. Hope you guys have a great rest of your Thursday. I'm back on tomorrow morning. I'll be doing the show from Harrah Resort, SoCal. I'm looking forward to that. Again, a very important partner of ours, so it'll be fun to do the broadcast from there. And I got a member show coming up tomorrow as well, so we'll be doing that. And we'll go from there. So I got somebody in the chat saying that John Wayne basically just bought me a hand of blackjack at Harrah. I should take everything that John has thrown my way in the last couple of days and pick red or black. I'll play something else and just take my luck there. Thank you, everybody. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And I will see you guys tomorrow morning at Harrah Resort, SoCal. Have a great rest of your Thursday. Enjoy some of those. We got some good NBA games on tonight. Don't sleep on some of these games tonight. Hopefully you guys enjoy them. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning.